Hello, Jay. How are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm enjoying my little staycation in East Sussex. How about you?
Yep, I've got a staycation myself in Essex next week, so I'm looking forward to that. It's been very wet here lately, um, so what better to drive away the watery blues than with a bad film? Have you got a selection lined up for us this week?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got a little smorgasbord of terrible films for you.
We don't have to watch all of them, do we?
Uh, maybe not tonight, but at some point, yes.
So, are you telling me you've got a list of how many?
I mean, I've got I've got sub lists. So
Hmm.
I've got a list of films that I've got prepared for us today, which we will choose from. But then my sub list, I've got about 20 films on.
Okay.
So, but so that's just for the future. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about
Good.
that. That's yours. Don't worry about it.
All right. So, what are you telling me? Are you going to make a choice, or are you forcing the choice on me?
Okay, so I've got four listed here. I'm not sure. There's a lot of power I hold here.
Okay, well,
Um,
why don't I give you a number between 1 and 4, and on your list, that's the one we'll do.
oh my God, the possibilities. Yeah, okay, we'll throw it to the universe. See what happens.
So I roll the dice, and I come up with a 2.
Oh dear.
Can I change my answer?
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to tell you what you've chosen?
Well, yes, you're going to need to, so we can watch it.
Okay. What you have chosen, Gary, is Delta Force 2, the Colombian Connection, also known as Operation Stranglehold.
So as soon as I hear Delta Force, that's Chuck Norris, right?
It certainly is.
Chuck Norris. And what time period are we talking about? When's this from?
Oh, I mean, I would say a classic time period for terrible films and VHS. 1990.
Oh, yes, that's the cusp. The cusp.
Yeah, yeah. Sort of bridging two zones of terrible there. But
All right. So this is going to be a thoughtful melodrama on the struggle of man, right?
um, yeah. I mean, that's definitely what Chuck Norris is known for:
Yeah,
poetry,
yeah, yeah.
baking,
Mm, mm, mm.
needlework.
And this is a musical?
I certainly hope so.
That's what I've signed up for.
Yeah.
Okay, enough prolonging the punishment, unless you've got some juicy trivia to drop on me.
I don't have any juicy trivia. All I know about this is listed as it's a known film in the ranks of the terrible films. I mean, I was thinking you could probably say that about most of Chuck Norris's films, but I think this is particularly got some juicy nuggets in it.
Well, wonderful. Okay, well then, without further ado, let's go
Oh,
watch it.
sure.
The flow of cocaine coming into the United States is becoming a war.
He rules an empire.
Gentlemen, Ramon Coda, the world's wealthiest drug dealer.
A world of corruption and violence. His power crosses every border.
Isn't democracy great?
But now he's crossed the wrong man.
We would have been such a beautiful team. Not on your best day, pal.
Chuck Norris is back.
See that look in your eye? I'm not going to fight.
Always the hard one.
And he's about to take the war on drugs
Stranglehold to go.
to new heights.
You can go with the parachute or without it.
You're bluffing.
Want to bet? Scared you, didn't I?
a gentleman.
Hang on!
With a soft touch.
Lesson number 1.
A mean kick.
Lesson number 2.
And his own special brand of diplomacy.
School's out.
Chuck Norriss, Delta Force 2.
So we've just watched Delta Force 2, which is a canon film. Hooray! And that will probably tell you all you need to know about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rubbish.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And before that, let me try and wrap up some of the key plot detail. So Ramon Cota, played by the excellent Billy Drago, is a drugs kingpin. We are informed at one point he is the world's wealthiest drug dealer. So, he's bad news. So right at the beginning of the film, after taking in an excellent Chinese meal, Scott McCoy, played by Chuck Norriss, and his partner Bobby, very quickly capture him, then toss him out of an airplane and catch him again. I didn't quite follow why we did that, but hey, whatever. But so that was all good. So they take him to court, but Ramon manages to get off and walks free. Boo hiss. Bobby hits Ramon in court, which what riles him up a bit. That caused Ramon to take out revenge on him and murder his wife and son. So Bobby attempts to go down to Colombia to get his revenge. He is unfortunately killed in a gas chamber that Ramon keeps behind a screen that's behind some curtains in his meeting room, which means it must be something he does fairly often because he's got a room just for doing that in.
Yeah.
Scott McCoy gets wind of this, so he leads a mission to kill Ramon. Carnage ensues. He manages to free the kidnapped DEA agents. After a showdown in the jungle, he subdues Ramon, tows him away in a helicopter, and then Ramon falls to his death. Fin.
Wow.
That's what we watched.
That was succinct.
You know what? There wasn't anything else that happened, which is pretty sad when you're talking about a film that's 1 hour 50 long.
Oh my god. Yeah, it just...
You could have put a really tight 70-minute film in there.
Yeah. You've just explained the plot, which some of the early stuff, it was so long ago, I'd forgotten what happened at the beginning of the film. There was a plot, but really, by the end of the film, I'd forgotten everything.
Yeah, I bet you'd forgotten about Bobby, hadn't you, and his gas chambering.
I did. I'd forgotten about Bobby. I didn't really know who anyone was, but I got the idea that Chuck Norris was going on a revenge mission. Well, it's a Chuck Norris film. It's basically going to be a revenge film, isn't it? Really. So,
yeah, you've got everything you need from a Chuck Norris revenge film, but they still took well over 40 minutes. In fact, it was an hour before Chuck got to Colombia.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I remember looking at the time code. It was like, oh, finally. Well, I mean, it took him about 40 minutes to get to the montage training scene where he's sort of about to take revenge, but he's still in the US and he's still in the army base, and he's like beating up his fellow soldiers in this training camp. That was like 40 minutes in.
Yeah, he took his time getting to the point where he just beats up fellow soldiers one at a time just to prove how hard he is.
Yeah.
Now I looked it up during filming, and he was 50 years old when he made this. I will say he didn't look 50 years old. He looked great.
Yeah. I mean, that I think is the only amazing thing about this film. The fact that Chuck Norris looked about 30 and was doing stuff that, I couldn't do and probably will never be able to do. But then again...
The one thing he can do that you commented on is that he does look like a loaf of bread.
Chuck Norris is a loaf of bread on a pair of shoulders. I didn't know this before, but I've now come to realize this. He's a walking loaf of bread. He's got it's the shape, it's the size, and it's the color of his hair and his skin are all the same color. There's this strange brown color, and he has the acting ability of a loaf of bread as well. So I've learnt something. Chuck
Mother's
Norris.
Bride. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh God, this film. Yeah, this film. Well, okay, very high production values.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you like the colour orange, you're in luck because, my God, there are a lot of explosions.
Chuck Norris's face and hair and the explosions and his arms are all orange. There's a lot of it.
Yes, it sits high on the orange scale.
And then there's a lot of green, which you think orange and green wouldn't really work in this sort of like they're opposite ends of the color wheel, but there's a lot of orange and green in this film. There is
both of
jungle
those
for
things.
days.
Indeed, as the kids say. The jungles that I think we recognise from both Apocalypse Now and Predator.
Yes, filmed in the Philippines.
Indeed. Yeah. We're struggling to talk about this, aren't we? Because there's just so little of substance there that is interesting. And it's bad, and it doesn't fall into it gets amusing territory. When we watch a film and it's bad and it makes you laugh because it's just appalling. But this dragged on, and there's lots of explosions, lots of indiscriminate murder, lots of machine guns and bazookas getting tossed out, which sounds good, but actually is pretty wearing when you're seeing scene after scene of it.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of track back in my brain about 2 years at the beginning of this film. When it first started, I thought, actually, I think I even said to you, it's almost like a Bond film or something. It starts in this amazing, and I'm using the word amazing. Not really sure why I'm using that word, but it seems to be an amazing shot of this huge crowd in Colombia, and it's like some festival. It's a bit like the opening scene in Spectre or something. Like it's a huge shot of a big party in the streets. And I was thinking, oh my God, production values, brilliant locations. I'm almost excited. This could be like some really cheesy Bond film.
I was worried you'd actually picked a good film.
I know. That didn't last. That did not last. Oh God. Just so many characters, and I don't care. And Chuck Norris doesn't say a thing for the first half an hour. I mean, in fact, he's barely in this film, really. I mean, he's in this film, and certainly the last 20-25 minutes it's mainly him, but really the film is carried by all of his co-stars, because now this may be a shock to people, but Chuck Norris cannot act. So all of his co-stars are doing the work. It's really weird, actually.
And when you're having to do the acting for him, that's plenty of space to do it. And the guy who plays Major Taylor, is acting out of his face. My goodness. He attacks every scene 100%.
Yeah, he almost literally chews the scenery. I mean, he stomps around, he grabs hold of people, he leaps over things, he gurns at the camera, he shouts, he whimpers. I mean, he employs every tactic to make this film vaguely work. And it's quite interesting when he's in the scene with Chuck Norris, because Chuck Norris is basically standing there like a loaf of bread. And this guy, the Major, is like leaping around and gurning and screaming and whooping. It's quite bizarre. It's the two different approaches of acting, and they both equal absolute tripe.
Yeah, I don't think they were at Juilliard together.
No, they weren't.
Well, speaking of performances, I will give a shout out to Billy Drago, who plays the same role he plays in everything else, but that's okay because he's just a slimy little nasty thing with a horrible ponytail.
Oh my God! Can I
hissing
just
all
do
of his lines.
a very quick aside? The hairstyles in this film are atrocious. The bad guys have more disgusting variations of mullets than I have seen in one film before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost impressive how many varieties of hair you can get.
But we noticed that he's in the same he's in this same year. He's both in this film and in The Untouchables by Brian De Palma.
It must be said, I love The Untouchables. It's a really good film. And so he goes from starring with Robert De Niro and Kevin Costner to this Chuck Norris piece of shit.
Oh God, what a year that was. That is peaks and troughs. That is. And also I decided that he dies in the same way in both films, by spoilers for both films. He dies by falling.
Falling, yes. Falling.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think very nearly the last shot of Delta Force 2 is him falling. And he falls for quite a long time. But we never, sadly, I mean, strange thing to say, we don't actually see any impact. We don't get the satisfaction of the death. A common complaint of Peter Jackson's Return of the King is that it has too many endings. I don't think Delta Force 2 had an ending. It just stopped.
I mean, I so desperately wanted an ending.
Yeah.
I mean, it built up the bad guy so much. He kills indiscriminately so many of the characters, including this poor woman who sort of halfway through has a baby, and the baby gets ripped from her, and her husband gets killed, and then we find out later that there was a bit of rapey time. Oh God, awful. And then she sort of appears towards the end, and she shows Chuck Norris. She's in this village. She shows him to a mountain. That's basically all she does. But
and remember, there are 4 sides to mountains.
One of the best lines of the film. There are 4 sides to the mountain.
Most mountains have 4 sides, but
but you think that she's going to get some sort of ending to her story, and right just before the credits, she's right in front of the bad guy, and you think she's going to kill him, but no, she dies. And
she gets him instead.
There's no payoff. No payoff to this bad guy.
Very sad. Thanks to the excellent moviebodycounts.com website, I found out that Billy Drago had 5 kills in the film, and Scott McCoy had 13, for a total body count of 92. So 92 deaths across the film, and there were many, many poor extras just mown down by machine guns.
Indiscriminate killing. Yeah, there's a lot of indiscriminate killing. Yeah, I didn't care about any of it. I mean, there was at one point there were people being blown up, and like Chuck Norris was doing his thing, zipping around in a Jeep and doing some rubbish, being chased by a helicopter, and you said to me, I'm just going to pop off to get a biscuit, which I think...
I left the film running.
Which I think is probably the best review for a film. It says a lot, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, sadly to say, I think it does.
Definitely what Chuck Norris had in mind, I think, when he made this film. I reckon
it's
definitely good for a biscuit, guys.
Who made this film?
Oh, someone Norris.
His brother, yes, his younger brother directed the film.
Oh, dear.
I'm sure he knew exactly how to get the best out of a loaf of bread.
Oh dear, yeah. Do we want to talk about the soundtrack?
Yes, there are 2 interesting songs on the soundtrack that I can recall. The first one being an excellent little piano riff, which, if you can remember, you're welcome to give a little rendition of now.
Oh God, it was that good, I've forgotten it.
But it was like 3 notes played.
It was like
Thought, wasn't it? When we've got time, let's switch to that riff.
Yeah.
But then the epic closing song
by
Lee Greenwood.
Now, I've done a little bit of research about Lee Greenwood. Now,
Okay.
the song we were noting was just basically think of all the cliches and little phrases and sort of greeting card phrases and inspirational phrases that you can think of. Write them in a list and then put them to music. That's what it was.
It was like fortune cookies set to song.
It was sung by Bryan Adams or something. Now, I'm really sorry about this, Gary, but I'm going to have to tell you a little bit about Lee Greenwood.
Anything to do with Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead? Just a pseudonym?
I bloody wish. Unfortunately, Lee Greenwood performed God Bless the USA at many of President Trump's big gatherings.
Oh, that's nice.
Lee Greenwood, big Trump supporter. Oh dear. So that's the kind of caliber of musician we're dealing with here. Shame.
Well, that's a bit of a downer.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard rumours about Mr. Norriss himself as well.
Yes, but then as I realised, he is 80 years old now. So he's in the target demographic.
Yeah. Karate fighting.
Yeah, well, let's move away from that. Would you recommend people see Delta Force 2?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'm afraid Delta Force 2, like a number 2, gets flushed down the toilet.
I concur. There's not even any entertainment value out of it being a bad film. It's just too long. Like I said, I reckon anybody with a bit of patience could probably get a decent 70-minute edit out of it. And it would be probably quite palatable. But at nearly 2 hours, no.
Yeah, we're having a bad run of luck with these films. Surely at some point there will be some juicy undiscovered nugget. But unfortunately, Delta Force 2, the Colombian Connection, was not it.
No, pretty bad. Avoid.
Yeah.
Okay, Jay. Thanks for watching. And let's watch something else next time. If you've got anything you'd like to say about that film, if you've seen it, if you want to get in touch with us, make sure you follow us on Twitter at WeWatchBadFilms. Thanks, and let's watch another bad film next time.
Okay, bye.